What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with some vintage Star Wars figures, all loose graded by UKG and AFA. Lots of really great items, including 3 different vinyl cape Jawas that sold at auction. All of them were graded, and just some pretty eye-popping prices on those still. There were some good deals to be had, though, so we're going to dig right into all of those right now. And before I begin any further, if you like my content, please be sure to like this video. If you're new to the channel and you're interested in the prices for vintage Star Wars figures, mint on card, loose graded, or just loose, I try to cover all 3, and please subscribe if you're interested. So let's go ahead and dig right in. I've got everything from first 12 to last 17 figures, and so let's start off with some first 12 figures. We got an AFA 85 Plus gold label Darth Vader. This was a Hong Kong COO, brand new K-style. So I knew this was going to go for big money. I was just curious as to how much. Anytime you get above AFA 85, once you get the 85 plus into 90s, the prices go up pretty dramatically. But I actually thought this price wasn't too bad, given that an AFA 85 can sell for $300 to $350 pretty easily for a Darth Vader Hong Kong. And given that this is an 85 plus, I expected a little bit of a premium, and that's what this one did fetch, $400 plus $11.90 shipping, which seems insane. You know, if you're kind of new to these loose graded figure prices, it seems like $400 for a loose plastic doll does seem insane, but people pay up for these very high grades, and that's just kind of a fact of this hobby. And this was no exception. $400 plus shipping took that one home. Next up, we had an AFA 80 Luke Farm Boy. This one had the lettered saber, and when you see a letter on the saber hilt on that AFA label, that usually means it's a fairly early saber. Lots of the early sabers, in addition to the double telescoping sabers, that just means that these were probably on early card backs, and they have different letters on it, A through, double letters, AA, BB, CC, and just there's a ton of different variations for these lettered sabers. But what I wish that AFA would do, that CAS and UKG do a very good job of, is they actually tell you what the letter is on the saber. AFA doesn't do that, and I think it would be pretty easy to add that to this label. Just put letter on saber hilt, and then in parentheses, put what that letter is. And I just think that, there's certain collectors that like to have certain letters on the sabers, and they'd like to, fill out their collection if they're super completionists, as I like to call them. Anyway, this one had the older case style, and it was, again, an AFA 80. Pretty nice looking farm boy, though, with a kind of a darker mustard yellow pants. That one sold for $480. That one was a Hong Kong country of origin. Next up, we had a small head Han Solo first 12 figure. This was graded AFA 85 with the older case style. And this one had the molded legs, which I've been told is the much more common version of this Han. The painted legs is the tough one to find, the painted legs. And you don't see those come up very much. But the molded legs are a little bit more common. This was the Hong Kong. This one sold for $450. So a big number, but I don't know if that's necessarily outside the realm of some of the other ones I've seen sell. Although admittedly they were in new case styles. $400 to $450 seems to be the going rate for a high-grade small head Han. This price did surprise me on the upper end. This was a Hong Kong first 12 C-3PO, brand new case style. AFA 85, and it sold for $400 plus $12 shipping. So that price really surprised me on the upper end. I would have guessed probably somewhere in that high twos, maybe $325, somewhere in there. But that's what the buy it now price was on that one. Now we're going to dig into what I had alluded to at the beginning of this video. There were 3 different vinyl cape Jawas that have all sold within the last week or so. This one was an AFA 85 vinyl cape Jawa with the brand new case style. It also did include the certificate of authenticity from Collectible Investment Brokerage, which is affiliated with AFA. Tom Derby is one of the main principals and owners there at AFA, and he will add a CIB certificate if you pay for it. And this was a beautiful example, obviously, but the final sales price was $5,000 plus $25 shipping. And I used to think that I overpaid for my AFA 85, and admittedly mine's in an older case. But when I saw that price, I mean, it's just unbelievable what, despite any kind of economic concerns that are out there, vinyl cape Jawas just continue to go up in price. And this one was the high watermark. This one sold for the most of the 3 that we looked at, but I just had to point that out. But $5,000 is just a huge, huge number for an AFA 85 vinyl cape Jawa. I got a couple of UKG graded examples that also sold. This one was a UKG 80% that was sold down in Australia. It sold for 3,300 Australian dollars, which is about 2,130 US dollars. And then this one had the brand new K-Style UKG 85% with a 90% subgrade. Very, very nice example. That one sold for 3,152 US dollars, or about 2,800 pounds. So again, looking at those two data points, and admittedly, it's not apples to apples, right? You got UKG versus AFA. AFA, especially for rare items, does tend to command a premium. But, let's call that $2,100 to $3,200 for a UKG graded 80 or 85 versus an AFA 85 that sold for $5,000 plus shipping. So that's a pretty big premium to pay in my mind for an AFA 85. I can't justify that kind of price. That to me seems really, really high. I mean, maybe you get up into the $4,000 number. I've seen as high as $4,400 on Facebook, but $5,000 is definitely a new high watermark, at least from the ones I've seen for sale. Next up was an AFA 85 Hong Kong Boba Fett. That one had the brand new K-Style, and that had one bid at $350 plus $10.85 shipping, and that seems to be the hovering price point for an AFA 85 standard Hong Kong Boba Fett. It's kind of $350. And obviously that number has come way back down from earlier this year during the height of the Book of Boba Fett, but $350 is kind of the going rate for a Hong Kong. Next up, we had an AFA 80 Plus Lando Calrissian Hong Kong with the smile. And this is what I found to be one of the tougher variants to find. You can find the smile Lando for the no COO Palatoy, or some of the other PvP things like that, but for whatever reason the Hong Kong with teeth is very tough to find. And this one sat on the market for a little bit. It sold for $125. Again, it was an AFA 80 plus, so it's not like it was an 85, but it did have the new K-Style, and I've just had a lot of trouble, me personally, finding this Hong Kong with teeth. That's one of the few kind of more common variants that I'm missing from my Lando run, but just another data point there. Next up, this price also surprised me. It was an AFA 85, really old K-Style. Doesn't even have the dowels around the neck. But this one was the harder to find China variation for Leia Bespin. And you can see the CH on the label there. AFA 85. I would assume that whoever paid this just has been looking and looking to try and find this figure. But the China Leia Bespin, they usually appeared on like Return of the Jedi card backs, 77 backs and so forth. But you just don't see them come up very often loose graded. That's been my experience. No COOs, Hong Kongs, either turtleneck or flesh neck, but China's are just tough to find. So $400 took that home, and it's a beautiful figure. It's got kind of a wider face, wider neck look to it. There's so many different variations to Leia Bespin especially with her face. There's like a ghost face pale no COO that I have in my collection that's graded by UKG. There's a textured cape. There's the Hong Kong turtleneck and flesh neck, as I've talked about, the Lily Letty, the Spanish figure. So tons of different Leia Bespins that are out there. But the China, in my mind, for a fairly common figure that appeared on Return of the Jedi card backs pretty regularly in the U.S. market, that's just one that doesn't pop up much. Now, I've got a couple of different brown snake, dark green skin Yodas that sold. Both of them were AFA 85s. This one had the older K-Style. That one sold for $415 free shipping. And then this one had the brand new K-Style, same grade, same exact figure, Hong Kong, dark green with the brown snake. That one sold for $350 free shipping. So again, you got to be a little bit patient, because if you look at the price difference, $415 versus $350, that's about a $65 price difference. Let's call that about a 20% price difference. I mean, that's a significant difference in price, given that both of these sold within a day or two of each other. So you do have to be patient, and especially because this one had the new K-Style, and it was 20% cheaper than one with the older K-Style. So again, just keep your eyes out. Really have in mind what you're willing to pay for a figure, and don't go over that budget as best you can. I mean, I freely admit that I'm guilty of overpaying sometimes for certain figures if it's one I really want. But as long as you recognize that you're doing that and you're okay with that, before you hit that buy it now button. So next up, we had a UKG 85% Hong Kong Forlom. I thought this was a great deal. 80 pounds, or about 91 US dollars. It had the brand new K-Style. Hard to see what's going on the face there. It looks like it's got some dots on the face, so it makes me question the grade there. although it could be, you know, just lighting or something, but it does look like his face has some modeling going on there. So I question the 85% on that one, but again, it may not be the case. It could be something else, but just looking at that photo, it does seem like it might be overgraded there. Next up, we've got an AFA 85% Green Saber Luke. This one was the Taiwan AFA 85 Plus, excuse me, and brand new case style. That sold for a great deal. In my mind, $255 free shipping for an AFA 85 Plus Taiwan Luke Jedi. That's a bargain in my mind. In the current environment, you know, to get it for that price, that's a really tough grade to get on Luke Jedis, just because it's really easy to get scratches on the nose as well as on the hands, things like that. Next up, we have a UKG 85% Leia Endor Battle Poncho. This one was the no COO with the brand new case style. That sold for 170 pounds, or about 191 US dollars. I think that's a pretty fair price. Flash and Fast, I've had the pleasure to meet him offline away from eBay. Great guy. Always has beautiful figures that have the brand new case styles, high grades from UKG. So, you know, just a great guy. I've had the pleasure to get to know him. So shout out to Flash and Fast there. Next up, we've got a UKG 80% Leia Bausch, and this is the Taiwan COO. Very tough to find the Taiwan COO. And this one was graded UKG 80, and the main reason being the torso. Very common defect on the crotch area for Leia in her Bausch outfit, where that torso discolors. I don't know what kind of plastic they use for that Taiwan Bausch. It just always seems to discolor around that area, and this one is no exception, and hence why it got the 80%. I mean, I think that's a fair grade. And for those of you who are grammar and pronunciation correctors, I apologize. I always want to say Bausch, even though it's Bouche. So you're going to have to deal with it. It's just the way it is. But this one sold for 60 pounds, 67 US dollars plus shipping. I thought that was a great price, especially if you're over in the UK. Taiwan Bouche is just one I don't have in my collection yet. I've got a Taiwan baggie. I've got the Hong Kong. I got the no COO. I've got the Lily Letty, but I don't have the Taiwan. Just the straight Taiwan loose graded, not in a baggie. So that's one I definitely would like to pick up. Next up was a baggie. Speaking of baggies, this one was a Taiwan Meidin, and it has the green hair. And this was graded UKG 85%, and it sold for 110 pounds, or about 124 US dollars. Next up, we've got a UKG 85% Imperial Dignitary. That one sold for 150 pounds, or about 170 US dollars. Got lots of last 17 to finish out the video here, but I thought that was a great deal, just given what a lot of these last 17 figures command, even ungraded. But that one was advertised as no nose rub. That is a common defect for the Imperial Dignitary. Next up, we've got an AFA 85 Luke Battle Poncho. 575 took that one home. I mean, I was expecting kind of 400 to 450, but someone priced it at 575 and someone paid it. So again, it's just one of those figures. Last 17, you know, if you're impatient, you're going to be paying up a little bit. I think you're better off waiting for an auction, because I think that you probably could have picked this up at an auction for 450 to 475 pretty easily. Next up, we've got a UKG 85% Amanaman, and that one sold for 365 pounds, or about a 411 US dollars plus shipping. I don't like how UKG encases the head there. I don't know what's going on with that and why they do that, but I feel like there's a better way to encase that. It just looks a little strange to me with those long bars wrapped around his head, and it just seems like it could be very prone to moving around. But that's just my personal opinion on it. But anyway, 365 pounds, $411 plus shipping. Took that one home. Now we have a UKG 80% R2-D2 pop-up saber, and you know that's going to go for big money. This one was listed for 675 pounds, or about 761 US dollars. This was sold by Cashel Retro Trade. I have bought from this seller before and had very good experiences. The shipping, he avoids the global shipping program, so that's why it's something that I could do, because the shipping is about a half or a third of what it would be under the global shipping program. So it's nice to see some sellers over in the UK avoid the GSP program, but I have bought from this seller and been very, very happy. $675 again for a UKG 85% R2-D2 pop-up saber. Finally, we got a UKG 75% yak face, and $700. $700 was the sales price plus $25 shipping. And look, if you want to pay that kind of number, have at it. But that number to me is complete insanity for a UKG 75%. I bought an AFA 85 last year for less than this number, and I would argue that yak face prices are flat to down, if anything, and that's just my personal opinion on it. But 75% for $700 for a UKG 75 just seems way too much. Way too much. I bet in an auction this probably would have sold closer to 500 or less. But I could be wrong. But anyway, just some more data for those of you looking for figures. Lots of good last 17 data. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.